Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a slow, twangy country that has a lot of blues influence. So even if you're not a big fan of country, there's a lot of takeaways from you in this. And I'm going to be showing you how to play Harmonized 6, as well as some pedal steel licks, how you can emulate those, a lot of string bending. And these are techniques that transfer into rock and roll, rockabilly, you name it. So you definitely want to check this one out. I've got the lesson split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half, as well as download the tablature and the MP3 jam track so that you can practice all of the licks that you're going to learn, you can get all of that at ActiveMelody.com. Just look for EP191. Go to the lessons page and do a search for EP191. So let's go ahead and break down part one. Alright, so let me start with this intro part. And then we'll jump right into the Harmonized 6, which is the fun stuff. But I started with a little intro that goes... And all that is I know we're in the key of A, and so I know that the A major pentatonic scale is right here. So I started on the 2nd fret, 4th string, and I slid up to the 4th fret, 4th string, with my ring finger. Index finger goes down on the 2nd fret, 3rd string, slide back down, and then hit that open A. So that's a little intro part. And then we get into the fun stuff. Alright, so let's start off by talking about a Harmonized 6. So the very first thing that I played in this thing was this double bend, and there are 6 intervals apart. So you call that a Harmonized 6. So we're going to be covering Harmonized 6th and Harmonized 3rds, it's hard to say, in this lesson. A Harmonized 6 is very common in country, and all it means is that you have 6 intervals apart in the major scale. So whatever note you're playing, you count up 6 intervals, and you play those 2 notes together, and you have a Harmonized 6. So in the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's for the key of A. If I were to put a number to each of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I play the first one, for example, and then let's say the 6th one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You play those 2 notes together, and that's a Harmonized 6. That's all that means. So when I'm playing this, I just found this note, and then it's Harmonized 6, which would be 6 steps above, and you play the 2 together. That's a Harmonized 6. Now that's the theory behind it, but there's an easier way to think about a Harmonized 6, more practical way. And the way that I do that is I tie everything back to a bar chord, or to a chord, I should say. In this case, we're going to use a bar chord, the A major bar chord, which I know you know how to play. So I'm going to take the 7th fret for A, and I'm going to take my ring finger and my pinky, and you see that they're already down in that bar chord. Well, if I were to just move them up to the 1st string and the 3rd string, I've got this sound. Now if I were to slide that up 2 frets, that's where I'm starting this lick, right? So that's where I think about it. So I've got this, and then I can switch shapes here to this one. Now this is just the 2 notes out of the bar chord. So you've really got these 2 shapes. You've got shape A and shape B. Think of it that way. And you can walk all the way up and down the neck playing those Harmonized 6. And what's really cool is when you start to bend those strings. Now, I want you to learn these licks for this and play along with the jam track to learn it, but more importantly, think about how, if the song was in the key of G, how would you play that same lick? See how it relates to the bar chord? Everything I just showed you is all tied back to that chord. So always use that so that when you're improvising, you put on any jam track and you want to use some of these licks, you can do it. And there's a lot of little takeaways from this. Little turnarounds and things you can use using this technique. So the way that I'm starting this is on the 9th fret, I've got my ring finger on the 3rd string, I've got my pinky on the 1st string. And I'm doing using hybrid picking with my right hand. So I'm picking on the 3rd string, and I'm plucking with my ring finger on the 1st string. You can see you got to use those 2 at the same time. And it's not that hard to do, because your pick should only be using these 2 fingers when you hold your pick. You should not be using 3. Sometimes people make that mistake. But anyway, pluck it like that. Okay, so that's the right hand technique. Now the left hand, I'm pushing them both up. Notice my thumb is anchored here to give myself a little leverage, and I'm just twisting my wrist to bend both strings at the same time. Now the way that I played it was I went, and then I truncated it, and then I came down and played the released version of that. So to do that, notice my right hand is what killed the sound. And then I played the two together. So here it is. Now I came down and played the same shape. It's exactly the same thing, but I've got my pinky on the 2nd string 12th fret, and I've got my ring finger on the 4th string 12th fret, so that I can go. Now, some of you may say, hey, wait, why didn't you just do this? Same two notes, right? Well, the reason I didn't was because the higher you get in the neck like this, the easier it is to do these bends. So as I'm playing this lick, you'll find it works down to here, and it starts to become really difficult to do a double bend the closer you get to the nut. So it's just easier for me to try and stay in a higher place. The other advantage to you is that you're learning how to play these harmonized sixths or double stops on other strings. So you're not just limited to strings 1 and 3. It starts to really open up the fretboard. Okay, so from the beginning, there's the first two notes, 12th fret, then we have same technique, but just on those strings. Now I change shapes here, so I let my pinky go, and I've got my middle finger down now on the 10th fret 2nd string, my ring finger's on the 11th fret 4th string. So, let me back up, putting it together, we have. Okay, now I'm going to slide that down 2 frets, give it a little bit of vibrato, and then I'm switching back to my ring finger and pinky combination. This time I'm on the 7th fret, strings 2 and 4. And again, it's just hybrid picking all those notes. And here I went, it's just a bend and release. So that's the first lick. So let's play it together. So we have. Pretty cool. Don't just memorize those notes. Think about how you would apply them to a blues in the key of E. You know, how would you play those same licks? You know, even if it's not the exact same timing, how would you play those notes? How would you play those double stops? All right. Now, after I got down to here, I went. Little lick. I use this all the time. I'm not sure where I got it, but it's playing a sus chord and then resolving to the major chord. So the way to think about that is just think about a little triad here on the where I'm borrowing the first 2 strings on the 5th fret, and then I've got my middle finger on the 6th fret 3rd string. It's a little A triad. It's the top part of your A bar chord. So, but you don't start there. You make that, but then you put your ring finger down on the 7th fret 3rd string to play. And then release that. Now that's another technique that you can use all the time. I use that. It's a good way to go from one chord, or well, just when you know the chord that you're going to end on, it's a good way to build to that chord, I guess, or to resolve to that chord. All right, so from the beginning. And I did a hammer on there from the 5th fret to the 6th fret on the 3rd string. Now I came up and did this this lick, which is love that. That's more of a harmonized 3rd. Same technique as the 6th, but we're just 3 intervals apart now, so they're closer together. So all I'm doing for that is I'm borrowing the first 2 strings on the 5th fret, and then I've got my ring finger on the 7th fret 2nd string. Actually, when I analyze what I'm doing, even though I'm mentally borrowing those 2, I guess I'm only really pushing down on the 5th fret 1st string to allow for that bend. And then I come and bar those 2. Now I'm using these 2 fingers with my right hand to get this real bright, precise sound. If you pick it, you could do that. It just somehow it loses something. The plastic on the strings versus the digging in with my fingers. I can pop it a little more. So after that, I played this little same hammer on from between the 5th fret and the 6th fret on the 3rd string. So you put those together and you have. Okay, let me back up one more time. We have. Okay, now we get into this really cool pedal steel lick. And that's played, so I know that the song now changes to an E. And I'm using the same harmonized 6 thing that I did for the A. So, remember the A, I showed you this, I showed you how to tie it to the chord shape, and how you have this, and then this, based off of the chord. Well, I'm doing the same thing in my mind. So now I've got the E, so think of this nut as your bar chord. So that means I have this, and I have this. So when we do this pedal steel lick, it's going to be right here on the 4th fret, strings 1 and 3. But that's how I started there, was from just knowing how that these little double stops play off the chord shapes. All right, so to do the lick, I'm playing strings 1 and 3 at the same time, hybrid picking again with the right hand. I'm keeping my my ring finger down on the 4th fret, 1st string, but I'm bending the 3rd string a full bend, and then releasing it, and then releasing it again. That's a hard thing to do to get it accurate. The notes you're trying to play are those 3 notes. And so the trick, though, is playing the 2 strings at the same time without sounding sloppy. And that's hard to do. I mean, even, especially if you're playing live and you're standing up, you have a strap on. Right there, I just overbent it. But that's what you're trying to do, is create those 3 notes. Now, if that's too much, and you just are getting frustrated with it, a workaround might be to go still pedal steel sounding, but it's not locking in on the notes. Pretty cool effect either way. After that, I came down, played strings 1 and 3 at the same time, and then I played strings 1 and 3 again. This is out of the top part of the E chord. Alright, backing up, let me put it all in context. This helps me stay on track as well. Okay, now that's where the song goes back to the A. So after I went, I put my middle finger there on the 2nd fret, 3rd string, and played strings 1 and 3. And then I slid up. Look at where I'm at. There's the A bar chord. That's all I'm doing, is playing strings 1 and 3 out of that chord. And I was already in position. My middle finger down on the fretboard. So that's 6th fret, 3rd string, and then 5th fret, 1st string. And then I walk that down to this position. So now I'm on 3rd fret, 1st string, and 4th fret, 3rd string. And then I came up, the song at this point goes to a D, and I went. And all I'm doing there, again, back to this chord shape thing, I can't stress this enough. I'm visualizing the D major bar chord up here, and I'm playing these notes right out of the chord. So I'm resolving on that little triad at the top part of the D major bar chord. By the way, this is the 10th fret. I'm up here on the 10th fret. Strings 1 and I'm starting by barring strings 1 and 2 on the 10th fret, and then I hammer onto the 12th fret, 2nd string. And look what I'm doing, I'm plucking again with these two fingers. Ring finger goes down on the 12th fret, 3rd string, and then building that triad by hammering on between the 10th fret and the 11th fret on the 3rd string. If you don't walk away with anything else in this entire lesson, let this be a lick that you can use, because look at, I mean, if you're playing something in G sharp, that lick, it's a great lick. I mean, you could just solo for days with that, to me. And if you tie that with the other thing I just showed you, look at all this stuff you've got now. And start putting it all together. You're just doing all that around chord shapes, but man, it really makes you sound like an advanced guitar player. And in some respects you are, because you're doing advanced things. But when you tie it back to those chord shapes, it doesn't make it seem quite as difficult. Okay. Now, to conclude this video, I'm going to show you this. This bend thing, and this is very common in country. Where I'm at here is where this song goes back to the A chord, and so I'm thinking of pattern 4 of the major pentatonic scale for A, which is right here. It just happened to be where that D was. So I start there on the 10th fret, go up to the 12th fret on the 2nd string, back to the 10th fret. I do a full bend on the 12th fret, 2nd string, and then my pinky comes up here and grabs the 12th fret, 1st string. And I use hybrid picking for that. I pick the 2nd string and I pluck the 1st string. Oh, by the way, and then I keep the bend. You keep that bend in position until you pluck it again, and then release the bends. There's the 10th fret, 2nd string. And now I'm going to come down. Pretty cool, because it's all right there. So now I'm down on the 11th fret, 3rd string, full bend again. My ring finger goes down on the 12th fret, 2nd string. Same technique where you bend it, you hold it, pluck the other note, and then you bend it, pluck it again, and then release it. So it goes. There's the 9th fret, 3rd string. And then I play the 10th fret, 2nd string. And then I conclude that lick with. And that. So that's just 10th fret, 2nd string, 9th fret, 3rd string, borrowing strings 2 and 3 from the 7th fret, and then 2 and 3 from the 5th fret, with a little hammer on there to the 6th fret, 3rd string. So. And then hit the 1 string, which is behind that A triad. Okay, so that's all we're going to cover in this video. A lot of information. Let me back up, and I'll go through everything one more time. I'll play through it slowly, and then we'll see you in part 2. So here we go.